There is a woman that comes into the room for healing. The healer is on one side of the wall. The woman receiving the healing is on the other side of the wall. The two women have never met. They have never spoken. The woman being healed has no idea who is on the other side of the wall. Time equals 0. This is the inflamed cyst on the ovary. 3 minutes later, look at what happens. Time equals 3. The tumor is shrinking. Time equals 7. 7 minutes later, the tumor no longer exists. It's gone. What's happening in the brain of the woman doing the healing? The scientists are scanning the brain. So let's look at the brain scan. The healing is beginning to happen. What is happening in the brain of the healer? Watch this. The left and the right brain, something very interesting happens. Look at this. Look at this. The left brain, the logic, the thinking is becoming so inactive it doesn't even register. Look at the white. But the right brain links us with intuition, with emotion, with feeling, and look at what happens in the right brain. It's beginning, look at this, it goes from the blue to the green to the yellow. Look at this. Now the right brain is really active. What's happening in the left brain? Not very much. That is the answer. The left brain is very inactive. But look at what's happening to the woman's body. So whatever is happening between these two women, the healer is not using her left brain. She's not thinking, tumor, go away. She's not thinking, healing, be healed. She's not doing that. This suggests she's not thinking much at all. But she has activated her right brain, which is directly linked to the heart. The right brain and the heart are directly linked.
So our bodies are designed to heal themselves. And our own science now has shown every organ in every cell, every organ in our body has now been documented with the potential to heal itself. Even organs we were told could not heal themselves. Brain tissue, heart tissue, spinal cord tissue, pancreatic tissue, all has been documented at regeneration and healing under the right conditions and the right environment. So the thinking of science is that the environment must come from a pill or a machine.
Exterior.
Mm-hmm. Our most cherished traditions always told us that we had the ability to do this for ourselves, but science didn't really understand that. And now science is beginning to validate that we may create within our own bodies through the power of emotion, heart-based emotion, the very experiences that begin healing the human body.
Have you ever tried it on yourself?
I will share with you a story. The answer is yes. In the year 2000, I went for an annual physical, and my doctor told me that I had a growth inside of my bladder that should not be there, and needed to come out quickly. He scheduled surgery. And in the fall of 2000, I went into the Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, and underwent the anesthetic, went into the operating room for the full procedure. But here's what happened in between. Before I went into the doctor, I had studied all my life ancient traditions, ancient texts in the monasteries of Tibet and Bolivia and Peru. And I said, now, if I were ever going to apply these in my life, now is the time. So when my doctor gave me the diagnosis, I said, give me 2 weeks to work with myself. And I did everything that I'd been taught to do, but still I had the doubt in my mind. So I went to the hospital, I went to the procedure, I woke up in the recovery room and the doctor said, why are you here? He said, there's nothing inside of you to remove. He said,
you weren't operated at all?
He said, they used a scope. Okay, so they used the anesthetic, they put me under, they used the scope, and the scope showed that there was no reason to operate. There was nothing there. He says, why are you here?
Wow.
And I was still under anesthetic, and I tried to tell him about what I'd learned. It didn't work.
You have the chance now. What did you do?
Well, this is, I think, why it was good for me to have the experience, because I had studied all of the traditions, and I knew it was possible. But because I had the experience myself, I can look you in the eye, I can look at our listeners and our viewers, and I can say, I had this experience, and I know it's possible. And I also know that it may not be easy, because when our body has an illness or a disease, we lose the faith in our body. We lose trust. And we must work to overcome that. And I think it's the greatest lesson for any of us to learn, because once we discover that we have that ability, we feel differently about life and our friends and our families, and we feel differently about our relationship to the world. So I can look at you and say, what I did was all the things that I learned to do, to create the coherence, the heart-brain coherence, to heal the anger, to heal the hurt, heal the frustration, create the coherence between my heart and my brain to the best of my ability throughout the day. I did it as many times as I could. And I cannot say that is the only reason. As a scientist, I have to say I think it was a factor in the healing that I experienced.
I know there are experiments that started in the 1990s. I mean, it's where, you know better, you know, but in Russia or...
Russia started in the 60s. In the 1960s, the Russians were ahead of other countries in the West, acknowledging, first, even exploring the possibility. To make the experiment, you must ask the question. And because most scientists were taught the false assumptions, the 6 false assumptions, that we're separate from our bodies, that we're separate from the world, that consciousness has no effect on the world around us, they don't even ask the question. So in the 1960s, I know the former Soviet Union, the cosmonauts, were doing experiments from space with telepathy, for example. That's only possible through a field that connects all things. So I'm not saying that we understand everything. What I'm saying is that new discoveries that are not shared in the classroom or in the mainstream media now are opening the door to new possibilities to give us new ways to think about ourselves and our relationship to the world.